Have you ever had trouble getting past something that happened in your past? Have you ever been moving forward with your life only to have a memory seemingly stop you in your tracks and take you to a place mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even physically where you don't want to go? It's time to get past your past and create a new reality. Let's listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza tell us how.
You know, the process of change, what I've discovered, requires unlearning. That's the hard part about change, is unlearning, and then it's relearning. It's literally breaking habits that we have within ourselves, and then after we break those habits of thought, of behavior, and emotion, is to reinvent a new self. It's pruning synaptic connections and sprouting new connections. It's unfiring and unwiring and refiring and rewiring. It's losing your mind, really, and creating a new one. It's deprogramming and reprogramming. It's unmemorizing emotions that are stored in the body and then reconditioning the body to a new mind and to a new emotion. And so everybody has a story about the past or their past. And we tell those stories based on the emotions we experience from the past. And the stronger the emotion that we feel from some incident, some experience in our life, the more altered we are inside of us, the more we pay attention to what's causing it. And that moment becomes a moment frozen in time. And the brain takes a series of snapshots, and that's called a memory. So then we think neurologically within the circuits of our own personal subjective experience of that reality based on the feeling that we get from the experience. I think the problem is that most people don't know that when they think about the event, they're producing the same changes chemically in their brain and body as if the event was occurring. So you review the event 50 to 100 times in one day, and it takes the thought and the feeling, the images and the emotions, the stimulus and response that starts the conditioning process of the body actually living in the past. Now the challenge is the firing and wiring of that memory may not be the truth, but it's the truth for you. And the emotions then become the boundary of what feels familiar and what feels known. And so the person can actually live a healthy life and go on with their life a whole way in spite of the trauma. The challenge is by living by that same emotion, it becomes so familiar to us that guilt or shame or unworthiness or fear just becomes how we normally feel. And so those feelings tend to drive our thoughts, right? And if you can't think greater than how you feel, and feelings and emotions are the record of the past, then for the most part, you're thinking in the past. And if how you think and how you feel creates your state of being, well, your entire state of being is in the past. Now, the challenge is that the body is so objective. It doesn't know the difference between the event that created the trauma 15, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago and the chemistry, the emotion that you're creating by thought alone. The body's believing it's living in the same past experience. So then the person is actually viewing or perceiving reality through the lens of the past. And so anything that triggers anything that they can associate that's relatively familiar, then the big thing is get ready because you don't want that to happen again in your future. So the brain is always forecasting the worst case scenario based on the memory of the past. And now the brain is actually coming up with that worst case scenario because if you prepare for the worst, there's better chances of surviving whatever that trauma is going to be again. So the challenge is that we start out of the infinite potentials in the quantum field. We're selecting really one of the worst outcomes we could possibly imagine, embellishing that outcome, and then emotionally embracing that future before it happens in the anticipation of the event. And now we're taking that thought and the feeling, the image and the emotion, the stimulus and response, and we're conditioning the body and the brain into looking like that future event has already occurred. And the stronger the emotion we feel from whatever we're imagining, the more we pay attention to what we're imagining. And we're embossing that circuitry further in the brain, and we're emotionally conditioning the body more into that emotional state. So if the familiar past in the conditioning process is the known, and the predictable or anticipated future is the known, there's only one place where the unknown exists, and that's the sweet spot of that present moment. Now, the person can live a normal life feeling those emotions and being successful and having relationships and all that stuff until it comes time where they get a diagnosis, or it comes time where they go bankrupt, or there comes time where they are ending a relationship, or something goes wrong where they want to create a new career or a new life, and now all of a sudden they come right up against their past. Why? Because that's what's been defining them all along. And all I'm asking them to do is stop telling the story of your past and start telling the story of your future. Stop believing in your past, real or imagined, and start believing in your future. Stop romancing the past and let's start romancing a future. So the unlearning process then, 95% of who we are is a set of memorized behaviors, automatic emotional responses, unconscious habits, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions that are automatic like a computer program. So if we're in a program, then we're unconscious. So in order for us to change, we have to become conscious of our unconscious thoughts and the story and the narrative that we tell, and those memories, to become familiar with how we speak or how we act and become so conscious that we don't go unconscious to that behavior. And then we have to look at the emotions that we live by every single day and realize, are these emotions loving to me? And then all of a sudden name it. Wow, this is actually guilt. I just didn't know it was guilt. Or unworthiness. It's just how I normally feel. And I use everything and everyone in my life to make this feeling go away. But if I'm relying on my outer world to change my inner world, when things are good, I'll feel good. But when things are bad, I'll feel bad. So changing your emotional responses to the challenges and circumstances in your life and no longer living by that emotion is no different than the withdrawals we get from a drug, because no new information can enter the nervous system that's not equal to the emotion the person is processing. So then you can tell the person the answer to the problems in their life, but unless they overcome that emotion, they'll be perceiving reality through that lens, the lens of the past. So then the fundamental point here is that the trauma then that the person is experiencing from the past, they're reliving that every single day. So then when it comes time to be defined by a vision of the future, if you're living in the past, it's so much easier to forget that vision than to remember it. So how do we remember the vision of the future? Well, we got to feel the feeling of the emotion before it occurs, before the event occurs. And if you're feeling the emotion before the event occurs, if you really practice trading resentment or impatience or sadness for an elevated emotion, you teach people the science behind that. If they're feeling the emotions of their future, they'll believe in their future more than they believe in their past. Teach them how to hold the intention of what that future is. And you take that thought and the feeling, the image and the emotion, the stimulus and response, and you can actually condition the brain and body into a different state of being. What's the importance of that? Somehow, the disease is there, and now the disease is gone. Somehow, the person's life wasn't changing because they weren't changing. The moment they start changing the way they think and the way they act and the way they feel, all of a sudden their life starts to change. So what's the importance of that? Well, if you're doing the work and you're seeing your life changing, you're going to want to do more of it. So you become a work in progress. So then you're always looking for the blind spots. It's no longer about your healing. You're not asking the question, why am I not healing? The real question is, what do I have to change about myself in order to heal? Right. Now it becomes very practical for the person. So the unlearning process is one of the hard parts because you've got to light a match in a dark place. And if you're conscious, that means you're no longer unconscious. And if you're conscious and you're no longer unconscious, you're no longer in the program. So we begin to objectify or object ourselves. So how many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That's the moment of change. How many times do we have to go unconscious till we stop going unconscious and start staying conscious? That's the moment of change. And God, we get numerous opportunities in life. Every day is one lifetime. And if you just decided before you started your day who you no longer wanted to be, in thought, behavior, and emotion. Just remember that, stay conscious of it, and who you do want to be. And think about the thoughts you do want to think. Rehearse how you're going to behave in your life with your family, with your kids, at work, on the Zoom call. And think about what emotions do I want to live by as if my future has already happened. So the cool thing about that is if you're feeling the emotions of your future before it happens, you're no longer looking for it. You're only looking for it when you're feeling the other emotions. When you feel those emotions before it happens, somehow those wonderful synchronicities and coincidences and opportunities begin to show up in our lives. And that proves to us we're the creators of our lives.
What did we learn? Building a new reality is a key for unlearning and creating change in one's life. This process involves visualizing, feeling, and embodying the future self you want to become in order to reprogram the brain and align it with your desired outcomes. The idea behind this step is that our thoughts and beliefs have a profound impact on our physical reality. When we focus on a desired outcome and consistently visualize and feel as if it has already happened, we send a powerful message to our subconscious mind that this outcome is possible. This in turn can trigger a cascade of events and actions that bring us closer to our desired reality. One of the key components of this step is visualization. This involves using the imagination to create a vivid, detailed picture of the future self you want to become. It's important to focus on the emotions, thoughts, and sensations associated with this future self as well. This helps to create a powerful connection between the conscious and subconscious mind, allowing the desired outcome to take root and become a reality. Feeling is another crucial component of building a new reality. By feeling as if the desired outcome has already happened, we send a strong message to the brain that it is possible. This can trigger a chain reaction of events and actions that bring us closer to our desired reality. Embodiment is also important in this step. This involves physically acting as if the desired outcome has already happened. This reinforces the message to the brain that the desired reality is possible and can help to break down any mental barriers that may be preventing the outcome from manifesting. It's important to note that this process of building a new reality is not just about visualizing and imagining. It's about making a commitment to consistently focus on the desired outcome and taking deliberate actions to bring it into reality. This requires a deep understanding of the connection between the mind and body and the role that habits and behaviors play in reinforcing our beliefs and thoughts. To be successful in building a new reality, it's important to stay committed to the process, even when challenges arise. This requires persistence, patience, and an unwavering belief in the power of the mind to create change. By consistently focusing on the desired outcome, visualizing and feeling it, and embodying it in physical actions, individuals can reprogram the brain and create lasting change in their lives. Action steps. Rewatch the video. See if you can identify points where your mind starts regressing to past negative events. Decide that when you are triggered to the negative past, you will immediately say something about your desired future and start thinking about the desired future. You are actually fighting your past with the thoughts and feelings of the desired future in the present moment. You may not win the war the first time, but with each battle or moment you repel those non-supporting past memories, you add momentum, and soon after winning a few battles, one day you will see you have won the war of controlling your mind. Thanks for listening and watching. Share this video with someone you care about. Help us inspire 1 million people to get past their give-up point and win with these lessons of inspiration and enlightenment. Click the like and subscribe buttons. Also click the bell icon so you are notified of new content. Consider becoming a Patreon. Your $5 per month helps us hire more staff so we can reach more people around the world. Patrons get access to exclusive coaching videos, e-materials, and one-on-one coaching opportunities to help you realize your dreams as fast as possible. Click the link below and join our winning team. If you need resources such as books, programs, and etc. to assist you in your journey, check out the links below. I'm sure there is something that will help you. Now, here are a few more videos that will definitely inspire you to win.